Yes, drama. Right now on States and Kingdoms. Welcome back to States and Kingdoms. Today we're talking about Yes's album, Drama, from 1980. Drama. An interesting album, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, there were some personnel changes.
Well, since we just talked about 902, 90125.
There you go.
This is kind of like the inverse version of that album, and I remember when I hadn't heard this and in the past.
Right. A long time ago.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard this, and I found out that it's a Yes album without John Anderson. And I thought,
what? How
surely
is that
not.
even possible? How is that even possible?
It's possible.
It's possible.
I was very, very surprised. It was, it was way better than I expected it to be,
and more Yes than you expect it to be.
Yes, it was. It's definitely a Yes album.
Yeah.
And even though John Anderson is certainly not there, Trevor Horn does a fantastic job. He really does. And I feel like the margin for error here was, very small.
Well, what big shoes to fill? We know John Anderson had very big feet. Stylistically, he had to do it just right. He had to be close enough to John Anderson's style so that it's not like a jarring difference, but not. It's not an impersonation. It's his voice. But another thing that I think is really important and interesting is how important Chris Squire's voice is to the overall vocal sound of Yes.
Yeah.
Because, maybe you don't notice it so much with earlier albums with John Anderson, but he's always singing. He's always that harmony, and his voice blended with John Anderson's is that Yes sound that you know.
Yeah, we kind of, it was funny listening to his solo album.
You're like, oh.
You're like,
there it is.
Yeah, it's like, wow, I've heard this voice a lot.
So Chris Squire singing along with Trevor Horn.
Yeah.
Keeps it close.
Yeah, it's
to the sound you're familiar with.
Like I did say about 90210 is that basically the harmonies, the harmonies are still there. That still makes it Yes. You need those, and that's Chris Squire. Yeah.
Yeah, great guy.
So this album opens with Machine Messiah. I really like this song.
It's a great song.
It's Wagnerian. It's it's dramatic.
10 minutes long.
It develops very naturally. It does. It's not in any way feel over long. It has a lot of really good movements. Very riffy. It
is.
The whole album is definitely like a guitar player's kind of album and guitar bass player's album. Steve Howe and Chris Squire doing a lot of riffing.
Yeah.
It's very satisfying to listen to in that respect, definitely.
Yeah, totally. The sound of this song is just really frenetic and dramatic, and it's very exciting, especially, toward the end. There's like a little organ break, and it leads into like the final chorus and the final like shift. Mm-hmm. And it's all very, very exciting.
And on this song, the singing really is so close to John Anderson that you could probably be fooled even if you didn't know.
Oh, for sure.
Lyrically, it's also it's not John Anderson-ish. It's a little different. It's got kind of Blakean imagery and things going on, and I have no idea what it's about, but it's still it's very, very good. Very feels substantive, and like I said, that the dramatic opening and like very Wagnerian and
it's big, it's grand, and if anyone had any doubts about what this album was going to sound like, they really just start off with such a bang.
It's true. It's like wow, the white car or whatever it is, right? Leading into Does It Really Happen?
I like songs like this. I like shorter songs, especially when you're dealing with big songs like Messiah, Mechanic, and you need the little palate cleanser songs.
ELP perfected that to the chagrin and delight of all.
Both, right, right.
I agree, and it's just really a nice brief interlude between the two.
Because then it leads into songs. It Could Happen, which is one of my favorite songs on the record. It's just
It's really
it's got
catchy.
so catchy, and it's got such a great, like, powerful, like, strumming beginning.
Still sounds
it's
like,
you
still
know,
totally sounds like Yes. You know, I mean, like the singing. And really, to me, the whole album instrumentally sounds like Yes. It sounds
Yeah.
like, you know, well, it sounds like if John Anderson left and Rick Wakeman left, so you don't have the same approach as John Anderson, and you don't have the constant keyboard flourishes, and you just have it's like a guitar bass player's album. It's like everything's just really focused in on that. Also, Alan White, I mean, they're tight.
Oh, yeah.
This album is tight.
Oh yeah, totally. Especially since we just listened to 90125 so much, the contrast between, you know, the sound of that album and this one is just really, really interesting because, you know, Steve Howe is obviously such a different player from Trevor Rabin.
Yes.
And so that Steve Howe Yes sound is just all over this album, and
Also
you know,
known
so it's
as the Yes sound.
the Yes sound. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's really nice, you know, after having a week of not hearing Steve Howe, you know, and that album, of course, we already talked about it, has its positives, and I'm not taking away from anyone, but yeah, now listening to the Steve Howe again, the Steve Howe is really nice, and you know, I love his style.
Into the Lens is the first song that really sounds different? More like Trevor Horn. I mean, you know, and I mean, it does, and it should. It's a very catchy song. It's not totally unlike something, you know, Yes had done.
It's such a perfect blend of the two sounds, like the Yes sound and the Trevor Horn sound. Mm-hmm. It really has both elements, you know, like you said, and you know, I said the melody. Ages ago we said this. The guitar work on this song is so Steve Howe Yes sound. Like I love the guitar parts. You know, and like you said before, the bass and the guitar working together, but there's just a couple of moments on this song that I just think are so beautiful. And maybe for me, like the most like classic Yes sound is like Steve Howe's playing on this song, even though it's also the same song that sounds the least like Yes. Does that make sense? Do you understand?
Yeah, I understand.
It's a great blend.
It's a little nasal.
I am a camera. No. I know.
Trevor Horn has, you know, his sound, and the two really are blended rather than him, you know, kind of trying to just become part of Yes as much as possible. It definitely has something else, another quality.
You can't pretend to, you know, wear tunics and meditate. It's not going to work.
So, Run Through the Light, I mean, it kind of sounds like, you know, if you sped up Sting.
A little bit.
No, I mean, it's a good song. I don't... It's not as memorable to me as
the
others.
The most like 80s sounding sound, most 80s leaning.
And it's true. It's actually interesting on Into the Lens and this are probably a little bit more Trevor Horn than the rest of it.
And I don't mind that. I don't mind it.
No, he's in the band.
Yeah, he's there. Yeah.
And then Tempus Fugit, which in Latin means time fugit. Tempus Fugit, it's very fast. You know, it's Yes,
nice
kind of.
beat.
I mean, I don't want to say returning because they you know they hadn't not done that you know, but Tomato is not the most exciting album ever done, obviously.
That's fair.
And you know, this is Yes. I mean, in kind of just fast and intense, and with those soaring melodies. I mean, that's what I think of with Yes. So this is a lot of fun. This song. There's a lot of the great guitar and bass. Yeah.
Yeah, that ascending and descending line is really, really cool, effective. Yeah, it's a good song. Really good song.
And that's it. It's a short album, and it's definitely a very worthwhile. I mean, you could kind of suggest that it's their last kind of in a line of their 70s, you know, blah blah blah, and it still carries that forward, but 90125 you know, is so very different.
Yeah. I've always liked it. I think it's a great album. You know, not a lot of bands could handle that kind of shake-up with especially your dynamic lead singer, but it works, you know.
Yeah.
They're able to handle it, and it's really, really good. Thank you so much for watching our brief discussion of Drama by Yes. Please make sure to let us know in the comments below what you think of this album. And please like and subscribe to States and Kingdoms. More videos coming out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. We'll see you next time.